There is a lot of iconic characters in My Little Pony. It doesn't matter what generation you choose. However, there is one that would go on to change the entire community forever. Without even speaking, Vinyl Scratch. Sure, while now she's a beloved and popular pony, there was a point where she was another nameless pony. How did Vinyl go from this to this? Well, let's find out. The story of Vinyl Scratch is one that started incredibly differently than the other fan favorite background ponies, as her rise didn't come from what she did in the show, as she didn't have dialogue, personality, or even a name. Yet, Vinyl became one of the biggest icons in the entire community, and unlike characters like Derpy, whose popularity came from a memorable mistake, Vinyl became popular for one reason: she looked cool. Sounds weird and it's impossible to explain if you weren't there at the time, but it is true. From the moment she first appeared, Vinyl had a sense of style. The shades, the connection to dubstep, and the gorgeous colors made her stand out, especially when background ponies used to look like this. And within weeks of her first appearance in early 2011, Vinyl Scratch had become one of the most recognizable background ponies in the fandom. But there was one problem: she didn't have a name. In the wake of her popularity, fans tried to give her a name. Some simply called her DJ. Others went with something a little bit more fitting, like DJ Pony, and at one point fans even referred to her as just Face. But none of them really stuck, and it wasn't until February 2011 that Vinyl finally received her famous name. Now, who actually came up with Vinyl's names is a complete mystery. Most people believe that the creators were two anonymous users from 4chan, although another fan known as Mr. Jaridovskik had also suggested the name DM Scratch Pony on the date that the episode released. But that name never really caught on, and it wasn't until Equestria Daily helped Vinyl cement her name in the community. Although over time the fandom found a way to use both names, as people assumed that DJ Pone 3 was her stage name, with Vinyl Scratch being her actual name, which years later was confirmed by her card in the MLP TCG game, with this beginning the Vinyl Scratch golden era. Mere months after Vinyl received her name, the fandom did what it does best: they developed her. They made her a wild, unpredictable pony that sometimes can go a little bit overboard with her parties.
Good morning, Ponyville!
And this personality was one of the catalysts for her first ever meme. On the summer of 2011, a video involving her in her first appearance was looped with an existing track, this giving the impression that Vinyl was nodding her head to the beat. Another thing was exploring her relationship with other ponies, and unlike many others that were paired with random ponies, Vinyl was only paired with two. One of these being Neon Lights, another background pony who unexpectedly became popular, despite only appearing for a brief moment, and at first this pairing was mainly for aesthetics, as the two looked good together, but the reason why this shape actually worked was because fans developed them. Some saw them as friendly rivals and fellow DJs, and eventually they became a couple. And with this came the wave of art and animations featuring them. But of course, if you've been in this fandom for more than 5 minutes, we all know that this is not the shape Vinyl is known for, because that would be Octavia. To say that this shape left a legacy in the MLP fandom would be an understatement. Much like Lyra and Bonbon, what started as a random pairing transformed into one of the most iconic and influential ships of 2013. The two became inseparable in songs, animations, and fan art, and some of these are still among some of the most recognizable projects the fandom ever produced. But it wasn't only songs and videos. As Vinyl's popularity grew, so did the speculations surrounding her, from who she was to where she was born. But none of this compared to the number one question the fans had at the time: what was the color of her eyes? No. Seriously, for years, fans had heated battles and discussions in 4chan and the MLP forums over what color was Vinyl's eyes. Although later, thanks to an official artwork, it was confirmed of being red, but eyes wasn't the biggest mystery surrounding Vinyl, as that was if she was mute. Yes, the thing that many fans and even ponytubers have discussed over the years, and we all have come to an understanding that she's in fact mute. But that's not the whole story. Yes, in the beginning she was planned as a mute character, said so by one of the character designers in the early seasons. As she said, she was meant to be a mute character that expressed herself through her music and actions, rather than quips and jokes. However, that concept slowly changed over time, and while she never received an audible voice, later in the comics it was confirmed she could speak, although very briefly. And I think that is a very cool detail that not many fans know about. So technically, vinyl does have a voice, just one we never heard before. Or did we? Even though the show never gave Vinyl an official voice, the fandom absolutely did. For some of us, Vinyl's voice belongs to Jess Nowak, better known as No Whacking. Although never part of the official voice cast, his performances in fan projects are among the most iconic and important in the entire community, as he helped define how an entire generation of fans imagine Vinyl's voice.
What? Oh, nah, man, she's cool. It's nothing special, it's just my bass cannon!
Don't worry about it. Hey, didn't you say you wanted to find some new music or something?
Without him, it's hard to imagine the character having the same identity as she carries now. His influence has reached far beyond a single fan project. Even years later, he still continues to appear in the fandom and their projects, like his role in Violet Pony's bass canon, while also going to do bigger and better things outside of the fandom. And while nowadays Vinyl's voice is better remembered with the lost narrator,
I don't know, Tavi. I've been getting some looks. Especially now that I've got those dreamy magenta orbs of hers.
Kinda like that take, it was really smug.
and she does deserve that. Lost has been an amazing vinyl for the longest time, but in my opinion and in my heart, Jess will forever be the vinyl that I will always remember. Vinyl Scratch's popularity became impossible for Hasbro to ignore, and rather than ignoring the fans and disregarding her as another background pony, Hasbro canonized Vinyl in merch, making a lot of fans extremely happy over the years. And that's without mentioning other companies that gave us many of amazing vinyl merch over the years. And eventually this transitioned into the show, with episodes like Slice of Life, where it's confirmed that Vinyl and Octavia live together, and maybe even been together. But one that many fans don't know about is that Vinyl got an official backstory in the comics. Born to a wealthy family of musicians in Canterlot, as a young filly she was quiet, shy, and surprisingly uninterested in music, although that never deterred her from spending time with her older brother, and it was this that made her get her cutie mark when she saw an enormous rock concert in Canterlot Academy. That moment not only made Vinyl fall in love with music, but also performing, something that would inspire her to become a DJ in the future. While many fans don't know that Vinyl has an actual story, I've always found it pretty interesting, as it gave her a little bit more depth than just being the cool silent DJ the fandom created. Which leads us where we are now. More than 15 years later, Vinyl Scratch is still a beloved and important character in the MLP community. Fans are still creating fan arts, songs, fanfics, and of course, animations. Vinyl Scratch is the perfect example of a fandom taking a character that had nothing, no dialogue, no story, no personality, not even a name, and making her into an icon in the community, one that not only impacted fans, but even the music side of the MLP community, inspiring amazing artists like Scratton. Her story in the fandom is not only as a background pony, it's what happens when an entire community comes together to create something bigger than the show ever intended, and one that has left a legacy in the community that will never be matched. But what are your thoughts on Vinyl, and what other background ponies would you like to see covered? Leave it down in the comments. And hey, if you made it to the end, consider subscribing and leaving me a like, as it helps me a lot. And hey, why not join the Discord server? As for me, take care, stay creative, and I'll see you in the next video.